Barring some unexpected decommitments from some Iowa football quarterback recruits, the Hawkeyes are set at QB through now 2026. Iowa landing a commitment this week from another Southern California quarterback. We'll talk about the connection between Cash Herrera and another quarterback on the Iowa roster at present, but Cash, a member of the 2026 class. We'll talk about his commitment and what he brings to the Iowa offense in just a moment. But first, I want to thank our two sponsors for this video, one being Under the Kitchen. Randy's got authentic Hawkeye prints, including a new one with Caleb Johnson. Check it all out, underthekitchen.square.site and Under the Kitchen on Facebook. And IFC, that's Iowa Floor Covering in Bondurant. Tyler Bryan will help you out with whatever project you're taking on. Maybe it's even a do-it-yourself project. Give him a call, 515-379-7000. That's 515-379-7000. So the Hawkeyes landing a commitment this week from La Jolla, California native Cash Herrera. So here's the deal, folks. In case that town, La Jolla, sounds familiar to you, perhaps you've visited San Diego. Beautiful area out there, by the way. I love La Jolla. But interestingly enough, Iowa has another quarterback on its current roster from La Jolla, and that is walk-on transfer Jackson Stratton. Remember, we talked about Stratton preseason. Here's a kid who played high school football at La Jolla High School. He ended up actually committing to Washington initially. Then there's a coaching change there. He ends up at Colorado State, never really plays, transfers out, and here we are. Now, this young man, Cash Herrera, did not play at the same high school as Stratton. Cash playing at the Bishops High School in La Jolla. There's really three major high schools in La Jolla. Of course, it's basically part of San Diego, if you kind of want an idea of where this is at. And Cash now playing in his junior season. So we've had a couple of season highlight tapes to kind of look through, and you read between the lines of these. So I'll kind of run through some of my observations after watching the tape available in just a moment. But let's run through some housekeeping things regarding this commitment. Cash Herrera out of La Jolla, California, rated a 3-star as of right now, according to 247 on 3 and Rivals. It's still early. He has good offers. I'll run through the offers in just a second, but a 3-star across the board. He's listed at about 6'3", 190, 195, somewhere in that range. So kind of taller, but pretty average for what Iowa typically targets. He had some really good offers out there, including UCLA, Washington State, Virginia Tech, Minnesota, San Diego State, Colorado State, App State. He reported interest from Louisville, USC, Oregon, Boston College. Those schools never pulled the trigger on an offer, at least not yet. They still could. Of course, signing day a long ways off for the 2026 class, over a year away. And how about this? He also had 3 offers that should be of note to people. Yale, Brown, and Columbia. 3 Ivy League schools offered Cash Herrera. So I'm guessing this young man is intelligent on and off the field. So those are the schools Iowa beat out for the services of 2026 quarterback Cash Herrera. You watch Herrera on tape. He just throws a nice ball. Very smooth, quick release. You like to see that at any level, but especially for a guy who's got basically 2 seasons of high school football still ahead of him. It appears that he's always thrown a really nice ball. He has nice touch on his deep ball. Mentioned the smoothness of his release, and he is mobile. Although he's 6'3", he's sort of like Iowa's other incoming quarterbacks. Well, one being James Rezar, who is on campus and is competing this fall for the first time. He just got here in June. And then, of course, next season, Jimmy Sullivan out of Indiana, another guy who's not the smallest or fastest per se, although James Rezar put up some pretty impressive track numbers. But these guys are bigger but mobile. And I think that's what you probably want out of an Iowa offense, regardless of who is the offensive coordinator. You can tell Kirk Ferentz over the history of his time here, more often than not, he's targeting guys who are 6'1" or taller. Now, you don't want guys who are massive who can't move. I'm not going to name names, but there have been players at Iowa who have been very immobile, who have been tall enough to see over the line and be able to have good vision across the field. I'm guessing that's part of the reason why Iowa targets guys who are 6'1" plus, and most of the good NFL quarterbacks are 6'1" plus. There are exceptions to that rule. Drew Brees was maybe 6 foot. Russell Wilson, pretty small. Tua Tagovailoa, pretty small. So that has been shifted a little bit. That rule has kind of changed over the course of time. But the bottom line is Iowa's not shifting to recruiting quote unquote dual threat quarterbacks, but instead they're recruiting pocket passers, pro style quarterbacks who are mobile. And I think that's what you want. Cash Herrera is very mobile. And here's one thing I noticed on tape, and this is a little bit different than just mobility. He's got great escapability. All right. So we're talking about pressure in the pocket. Things break down. He navigates the pocket, and his movements are very decisive, very quick. And even his freshman year, you could tell on tape that the coaches, the offensive coaches at the Bishops, really made things simple for Cash, but he took what was in front of him, at least in the tape I was able to watch, and has always thrown a good ball, as I mentioned earlier. He did miss some time his freshman year due to injury, but impressive stuff, and we'll get to see how his junior year pans out at the Bishops down in La Jolla. And congratulations to Cash Herrera. I can't imagine some of the funny NIL taglines or nicknames that Cash maybe already has at his high school, but will take with him to Iowa. Great name in Cash Herrera. Iowa's had some pretty cool names, I think, for some quarterbacks here of late. Resar, Jimmy Sullivan just sounds like a former president. And then Cash Herrera, who hopefully is cash money on the field. Iowa needs good mobile quarterbacks who can run what we hope to be the Tim Lester system in 2026, assuming that Kirk is still here and assuming Lester is still at the helm and he sticks around. Congratulations to Cash Herrera and his family. If you're watching this maybe late Friday night or early Saturday, don't forget live post-game coverage with myself and Coach Don Patterson after Iowa, Ohio State. We'll talk to you after the big game, which kicks off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on CBS. We'll talk to you Saturday night.